Welcome to the Out There channel. Late night chats and some debunks just to get it out the way with. Call it Live 159. So yeah, this is a spur of the moment one. I was going to do something different, but it's just easy just to do a live stream instead of doing hours of editing. So yeah, see if anyone joins me, I guess. And hopefully we've got the tickers going. Let's see, we'll just check out everything and play some music. Hello, good to be back for another live stream. It looks like that's working all right. I haven't even closed down all the other programs just to see how it goes. Just pause that. Stop music. I'm not sure if anyone's out there joining us. It looks like we've got one watching, but that could be just me. They changed the system. So this looks like the tickers are working again. It's up to 2 now. Welcome. So yeah, we're just trying something different. I sort of trashed the main timetable on the intro until I figure out what I'm going to do. How I'm going to change things, but it's fun joining people, talking about stuff, finding out things that you weren't aware of about people, and everything always revolves around money out there. Money corrupts everybody. Late night chat. Now Sundays are going to be regular live streams. If you don't know, it's changed. So people can come on and chat about the UFO experiences. We can have a look at their UFO videos and try and suss it out together. If you want to be brave enough to do that. So you're going to have to join my Discord channel, which should be on the About tab or up here on the banner. So I might just cut and paste that as well. So obviously this is unscripted. Discord UFO group. Well, it's UFO Paranormal Science Group. So if you like talking about stuff, that's the place to do it. Debating theories or whatever. Thanks for the like. So we got the tickers going again. I emailed the guy, although it was quite tricky to find. I had to find him through his gaming channel. He's a gamer, so I guess he's in his 30s, 40s, 20s, I don't know, but yeah, he's fixed it up and he said thanks for letting him know. So apparently they rebooted the server to try and fix some resource issue, and it didn't start up right or something. So yeah, so that's fixed. Have I got the videos there? What did I just click? I assume the audio is working alright. What's going on here? Alright, I must have clicked on the banner. Alright, there we are. We've got a live thing going there. Looks like the light's working anyway, so I probably shouldn't need to tick it. Probably that's a bad thing when you tick your own like. So yeah, Secure Team put out something from a news channel. I did find that, and I posted it onto, let's see, I did post about it on my Twitter account, so if you want to keep up with things, I do post a lot of stuff there, not just my stuff but other people's stuff, and you can learn a bit of other things, not just from me but from other people. Let's see. So yeah, I took a painkiller for my back, and it basically wiped me out for the whole day. So I've been slept like 16 hours so far, and I feel a bit groggy, but I feel good, as well as can be anyway for the time being. So I'll just play a clip from Tyler's show first, and then I'll talk about it. Okay, this one here. So let's just work through it together. Probably have to redirect the sound properly. There we go. Hopefully it's going the right place, so I'll be able to hear it as well without getting the echo. So just skip some of this. He's changed his music. I'll just put it up a wee bit faster here. What else do we need? Captions. Okay, won't get past that bit there. So this is from RT. He's got his logo over it. Let's see, can we get the logo? There is RT news channel, but it also appeared on the Fox channel. So I'll just play that news clip there.
The presence of unidentified objects continues as a famous YouTuber films what he believes to be a UFO. RT correspondent Natasha Sweet has more from Los Angeles.
As some would say, you have to see it to believe it. Well, a YouTuber named Christian caught a glimpse of what he believes to be a UFO while hiking with his son, and they were just miles away from U.S. Air Base Area 51.
Yeah, there's something moving in there right there. I swear that moved.
Adventures with Christian is this man's YouTube channel. Hiking Tikaboo Peak with his son, Christian was filming for his channel and saw a mysterious white floating object above a hangar. He also captured a shot of a Janet plane used to transport workers from the main Las Vegas airports to the base at Groom Lake. Here you can see just how close Christian and his son were to Area 51. The secret airbase was created in 1955 by the CIA. The general public didn't catch wind of the base's existence until June of 2013 by way of a Freedom of Information request.
Doesn't it fit?
So, did you guys miss me? What is up, everyone? Tyler here with Secure Team, back, still alive, and with a mountain of strange and mysterious stories and video footage to go over because of this past couple of week blackout here on the channel. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump right into it. So let's do that now. The first clip I want you guys to check out, well, you just saw the news report about this father and son who had gotten some video footage of Area 51. They'd actually gotten very close to the secretive base, and at one point they recorded what appeared to be some sort of white flying object moving slowly above the base, and you're seeing a still from that here, and I'll link.
Okay, so basically the news report said that this other YouTube channel called Christian filmed illegally, I suppose, from a mountain that's next to Area 51, and you can see the images are spud cam because of the atmospheric inversion effect you get, you get the mirages and all that. It sort of makes the images wishy-washy, so you don't know if it's a solid object because the atmosphere is moving so much. with the camera technology trying to capture it with a sensor, that it doesn't look a very clear, sharp image. But the first problem here, he circled a object above a hangar, or it looks like it's above a hangar, and yet the news report, if you go back, talked about this one at the beginning. Let's see if I can get it.
What he believes to be a UFO while hiking with his son, and they were just miles away from U.S. Air Base Area 51.
Yeah, there's something moving in there right there. I swear that moved.
Adventures with Christian is this man's YouTube channel. Hiking Tikaboo Peak with his son, Christian was filming for his channel and saw a
Okay, so they're talking about this object here, right? It didn't click to me at first, but I was just wondering what that was underneath. Could it be cables or something there? And you can't see much because it looks like cloud formations there, or low fog or something hiding the buildings, right? It's pretty terrible footage. So that image that Tyler threw up has nothing to do with this one here, clearly, right? So it didn't click to me at first, so I started analysing it like I normally do, and then I start doing more research on it. So I'll show you what I dug up initially. So here's the original image they snapped from his video there. Mouse button's not responding. So that's the original, and then I stuck it through some filters and did a side by side here so I could trace around it. So here's, looks like the layer of cloud that was in that video there. You can see the cloud here, also some cloud cover here. And then I was thinking, does look like it's a solid object, not very good one. Is this some building structure here? Is it some cables? So yeah, I sort of saw that looks like a line or something coming up here, which could be just an artifact through the sharpening process and because of the rolling shutter and motion blur. Oh, not motion blur, the haziness, what do you call that? The fogginess of the capturing of the image. But it does look like it's got some sort of structure underneath there, so I thought maybe it could be a high altitude balloon to start with. It wasn't a regular circle. Did seem to be like a squashed, what do you call it, like a tic-tac. So yeah, and then it clicked to me. I remember they used to have a water tank on the base, and I thought, hang on, that looks like it's going to be the water tank. So straight away I've tried to look for a picture. Here's the image from Tyler's again. You can see here you can't see much of building structures, so it is kind of misleading that it could be something floating in the sky, I guess. So it's called out to mainstream media. This is why you don't trust anything with mainstream media or most of the YouTube channels out there, because they don't question stuff. They don't get other experts to look at it. But you can clearly see it's got some whispery lines coming down, and it looks like something solid up there. Could it be a cloud? Blah blah blah. Right? That's the thinking process that you go through. So yeah, I found this image of the base, where if I can find it. Maybe I didn't save it. Here it is, here I think. Here we go. Here's a better shot on a less hazy day, showing from the same range almost. Less zoomed in, I guess. But if you zoom into where you had it here, obviously in that picture we couldn't see all these buildings through the cloud layer, but here presto. So it looks like the same thing, it's definitely a water tank, and it sort of matches completely. So yeah, so I just did another image to do an update saying, hey presto. I remember there was a water tank on the base, and I found an image here, and now we've named it down. So that could be a hose or a cable coming off it, who knows, or it could be just an artifact. It could be a hose for fire trucks, maybe to get some faster water from it. But they normally use phone for aircraft crashes, don't they? But still, the buildings there could catch fire from experiments. So you can see here, that one's probably more blurry, but it does match. So it's just a water tank, that one. So I sent that off to RT and Fox News, who used the same report. And yeah, I thought it was quite amusing. So then I started looking at Tyler's one, which was this one here in that video. And doesn't look much, does it? And zoomed in one again. Looks very fuzzy, but so I thought maybe it was just a cloud, but does seem to be something there. It's very out of focus. So I stuck it through the normal editors, of course, and come up with this one. And it looks a kind of outline of a plane. So I thought, could it be because of the haziness and we're not seeing a defined shape here, which is possible. It does look like it could be like a small jet, or maybe one of those jets they fly people in that's parked in the distance, and it just looks like it's hovering above the hangar when it's actually on a slope on another runway in front of another hangar. So yeah, so I thought nothing more about that until I decided to have a look on the guy's Facebook page, do some more research on that one too, and I found a comment. I found the original photo that Tyler took it from, thinking that this guy had said it was a UFO, and hey presto, the guy's not saying that at all. He's saying, oh, oops, maybe I shouldn't have circled that, but it was strange. But to me, it's clearly on a pole. Well, spelt wrong, P-O-L-E, I think he's saying there. But when I enhanced it, you can see there was no pole underneath. So where the pole was, maybe it's here, maybe. But it was not, certainly not within that circle. But yeah, you can see here you got the mountain range behind at different levels, right? So I think again it's just misleading. And you can see this guy somehow ended up on the Daily Mail and all sorts of other places for some reason, but his footage wasn't really that interesting. Maybe because someone sent it to him. So who sent it to him to get it published in the newspapers? Did he send it himself, or did someone send it on his behalf? So yeah, that's kind of a bit suspicious. So yeah, more info. Seems the guy, so I posted this on Twitter, seems the guy he stole the video from is honest, just Tyler is not. So we can rule out a cloud for sure, or smoke. He seems to think it's a light on a pole. So it could be a high mass light, it's possible. But yeah, it's not really sharp. It looks kind of cloudy or steam-like to me still. But a parked jet on the far side runaway hangar could be still on slope. Too bad quality, right? So that's what I said on that one. Was there any more bits to that we need to look at? Probably not. That's probably it. So we'll just go back to this one again. So I can't see any pole here. Whoop. What's happened? Not sure what happened there. For some reason it ended up on the other screen. You ended up with a black screen, did you? Something weird happened. Anyway, hopefully nothing more weird happens. So yeah, just supposed to do a bit of research, not take anything that Tyler puts up as factual. Always do your background checks. So I just put in the guy's name into the search engine, found his Facebook page to try and hunt it down, because I think he did, unless he's updated it, he didn't add any links to the guy's channel. He may have updated it. Nope, no links to the sources that he said he'd put. So yeah, that's pretty bit rough for the guy, isn't it? Using his material without sort of linking to him in some way. Your channel is entirely about showing off the unexplainable. You don't own any of his explanations. So these people just suck it up, right? So we don't. We sort of question everything, because we want to know the truth about UFOs. If they were testing a UFO, and definitely it looked really like the tic-tac UFO that's out there, that's being pushed around at the moment, we may have something else that was credible, but obviously it's not. So what happens after that? Oh yeah, he talks about you can see here that he changes the story completely to what that guy's photograph, because that still's only available on his Facebook, right?
And with a mountain of strange and mysterious stories and video footage to go over because of this past couple of week blackout here on the channel. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump right into it. And so let's do that now. The first clip I want you guys to check out, well, you just saw the news report about this father and son who had gotten some video footage of Area 51. They'd actually gotten very close to the secretive base. And at one point, they recorded what appeared to be some sort of white flying object moving slowly above the base. And you're seeing a still from that here, and I'll link to their original videos down below, but, you know, it's very grainy, but this is the still that they got from that video. But we'll go ahead and zoom in here, and I'll bring up the contrast, put the brightness down a bit, and, you know, they've obviously captured something here. I don't know what it is, I wasn't there, but we do know that this is a very secretive base where they test some very secret stuff. You know, if you've been following along with the Bob Lazar story, the fact that we interviewed him here on the channel. He also recently went on Joe Rogan, did an interview there, and after you hear his story, most of you will only be able to come to one conclusion, which is that yes, not only are they testing secretive things there, but there's a very good chance these things are of an...
Plug. We talked about Bob Lazar's story being only 20% legit, the rest of it's made up, so yeah.
Extraterrestrial nature. And this may yet be another one here. With this enhancement, it definitely looks metallic, potentially saucer-like in shape. And while the footage is grainy, you know, I have to say that this is probably some of the best footage you'll see, because it's so hard to get a camera, let alone a telephoto lens, that is high-tech enough to get this close.
So you can see the mountain in the background here is going upwards, so yeah, does look like a pathway is going that way towards another building out the back here.
The secretive base. And speaking of Bob Lazar, it should remind you of that old VHS tape from 1990 where he and a couple of his buddies went down to the base where Lazar knew the date and the time of night that they were to be out there testing these alien craft up in the dark skies above the mountains.
Okay.
And you're seeing that very recording here of those.
So again, we could debunk that too, but I did have a look at the video that was up on YouTube. This one with the actual bit of light going around the outside could easily be filmed through some sort of glass where they're moving it around.
Reported alien saucers being tested. And if you're lucky, you at home can scour Area 51 by yourself.
Okay, that one there I debunked on previous live. I can't remember what one it was now, but I did post it on Twitter recently again. So if you missed it, it's actually just, if you change the angle, you can actually zoom in. I actually found the actual GPS coordinates of this in the episode. Took me probably an hour to find it because no one listed the coordinates of this location. When you go there and look, you know why they kept it a secret, because it's just a pile of rocks and it's just a hole in the ground there, and it's a whole building site there where they're building up some new research or storage buildings of some kind, and it's probably just a test hole for seeing what the underground water's like, or what the soil is like, or it may have been used for a dump. You know, it might be a hole for dumping waste there and just bury it over later. It could be, you know, you don't know how far down deep it goes there either, so who knows. It's just a hole in the ground with the white chalky ground they have out there.
Via something called Google Earth, where you can look over satellite photos of the mysterious base and find some very strange and unknown things scattered amongst the surface of the base. For instance, here we have what has been said to be another sort of glowing white flying saucer hovering above the ground, taken straight from Google Earth. Here we are. We'll go ahead and zoom down here.
Hang on. Looks like he's been to my episode and found this information, because that wasn't out there until I found it. Unless he's taken it from that guy's video. Not sure if it's that guy's video or not. Might be.
And yeah, this is one of those things. Now, it's not only...
So he's taken my debunk and turned it into fake news again, right? So I think that's him clicking around. I think I could hear him clicking.
Limited to floating objects, we also have just straight up weird ground installations, taking up shape.
Yeah. Okay, so we know what that is. That's just a testing pond that's got algae in it. And it's got a black a line in around it to stop it leaking through the ground. Basically, it tests jet motors for boats there. You can actually see boats. Actually, you can see boats scattered around the outside here. I can't remember what the facility was called now, but definitely been debunked many times, so he's reusing it again, unfortunately.
Star Wars. And, you know, things like this, I have no idea what this is. It's just another weird, strange thing found in Area 51. You know, we know these things are being tested out there. We also had the recent satellite imagery of yet another object that for sure was not a plane or likely any sort of human craft, but that was discovered.
So we got a storage building here with some strange craft next to it. So what could that be? Could it be like a truck with some cargo into it? It doesn't look like much, does it?
Sitting outside of a hangar in what's known as Area 52, where, as you can see, we have these multiple hangars here, but sitting out front, we have something that has been blurred out in an obvious attempt to keep us from seeing exactly what this craft is, but we can tell right off the bat there's no wings, and really nothing that would scream conventional.
Is it really blurred out on purpose? I don't think so. I reckon it's just a load of steam coming up, actually. Looks like there's something on the roof here. Could it be just like some steam? Is there sort of processing something inside the building?
Aircraft. And so, shout out to the father and son who captured this new strange white object over Area 51, and hopefully we can get more people out there with better telephoto lenses and really capture something. You
got to remember, on these Air Force bases, they do have blimps as well. So could that be just a blimp for testing out the temperature at different altitudes? They do it at rocket sites before they launch a rocket or something. I'm pretty sure at Area 51 they probably launch rockets, who knows. So they do have like weather blimps, they call them. They just take it out the hangar, raise it up, and it's got all the instruments on there, and they measure the wind speed at different altitudes as it goes up, so they can feed it into the data. So that could be another possibility. It did have a big tail fin thing looking on it. So I don't know. It's not enough information on this image to go by, is it? So, but it's all, you got to keep these possibilities running through your head before calling something a alien craft or reversed engineering.
Amazing. So tell me what you think down below. Now, on to some more interesting footage. Here we have a clip captured during a raging thunder and rainstorm.
So something in the sea here,
where we have the boardwalk here, and at one point in time, you'll notice what appears to be a very large...
So I'll just turn off that caps so we can see it better.
A very long, black, unidentified creature washing up on the shore before finally falling back into the water, and with theories abound already that this could have been some sort of Loch Ness monster type creature. And well, I'm on the fence, but you guys can see it here.
So he's on the fence, guys. So what do you reckon? To me, when I saw it, because I've been to the beach quite a lot in New Zealand, we get a lot of rough water like that. That to me looks like just
We
pure
have the
kelp.
boardwalk here, and at one point in time, you'll notice what appears to be
So seaweed kelp, it's like big, thick, rubbery type stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen it yourself at the beach. You don't get it on all beaches. Let's just bring that one up. And it grows into big forests under the water there. So let's see if we can just get some images of it. See, it just grows into these big long chains. And has little bubbles and bubble things on it too. Kind of like, acts like floats. But not seeing the kind that I see in New Zealand where it's like a big leafy, stringy, but here we go. So you get a lot of this washing up, and it ends up being, you know, meters long and dark brown. Here we go. Here's another good one here. That's what we get mostly in New Zealand. It's got these little bubbles things on here. It actually floats to the surface. So you can see here, behind here is one of these big long strands. They can go for about 5 meters sometimes, from what I've seen there on the beach washed up. So that's just flipping around on the current. So you can see how it was bending with the water.
a very large, a very long, black, unidentified creature.
So the waves
washing
coming
up
in
on the
here, you
shore
can see
before
how the
finally
waves
falling
are
back into
knocking the
water.
side here.
And with theories abound already that this could have been some sort of Loch Ness monster type creature. And well, I'm on the fence, but you guys can see it here.
So what's this place here? Well, there's no Google Maps, there's no sources, so we can't simply just bring it up on Google. It looks like some sort of lighthouse here, but it looks to me like it's one of those entrances to a bay where they have a little tiny lighthouse on the end of the concrete thing that runs out. So this could be the concrete what you call it, defense against the rough sea going into the cove where they got super yachts and all that sort of stuff, right? So they have one of these either side, and there's an entrance enough for ships to pass through and all that, and they have a little lighthouse at the end. So it could be something like that there. So it's not really deep water. You can see it's like a sandy beach. Now if this guy's thinking he was filming a monster, why didn't he try and get closer, see if he can keep filming it? So you got to ask all these questions when you're watching all these what you call viral videos. They're called viral videos for a reason, is to try and make money off people watching. They normally post them on Facebook and also on YouTube and some other places. So here you can see the long strand. Doesn't look like a monster or a serpent. Someone said it could be an oarfish, which is a possibility. I'm not sure if you've seen an oarfish, but I'm still think it's just normal kelp. Oarfish. Kind of strange looking creature from the prehistoric days. There he is. These are oarfishes that are washed up or swimming around. Kind of strange looking creatures. So it could be that, but it's the wrong colour really. We got silvery ones, we got some dark ones here. See, that looks too thick for that video here. Look, looks like it goes thin. It looks like it's rotated around with the water. So it's probably not worth much time spending on that one. Crazy looking fish in the sea. Got to remember that we've only explored the sea by 1%, I think it is. So there's quite a lot. And you can see people holding up oarfish here. See how big they are. Yes. I wonder what they taste like. Fish and chips, anybody? That would feed a whole tribe, wouldn't it? So probably tastes pretty good, actually. Probably. Looks like they catch them and eat them. So could that be where the stories of the mermaid comes from? That's another question. If they saw that in the sea, and then there was some dolphins or making quacky noises, you could see how the fishermen would get confused, thinking it was a sea serpent. Yeah. or maybe some other animal that makes squeaky noises in the sea, or sings. Well, whales sing, don't they? There's so many different species of things out there. So yeah, just close that one down. So what else we got coming up? Don't want to spend too much time on that one. Okay, we got lights over the ocean, wasn't it?
Ocean X put out a clip featuring a guy named Louis Lamar, who also happens to work for National Geographic. And at one point in this segment, when he was talking about all of the strange things that he's witnessed under the water, he, pretty as matter-of-factly, makes a statement that should, tickle the spidey sense of any UFO lover, especially those of us who love research into USOs, or underwater submerged objects, things that are in our oceans under the water. And he said in this statement, in this video, quote, "I think in the ocean I have come across potentially beings from another heavenly body that are more highly advanced than humans." Going on to say, quote, "some sort of, hyper-advanced aquatic alien creatures." And so, yeah, how is that for a contributor?
Okay, so we know under the sea where there's not much light, fish do produce their own light sources. So could this be an image of one of those jellyfish that sort of fluoresce under the water? Looks like a jellyfish. So yeah, well, we know there is some strange life down under the sea there, and of course we know dolphins are very intelligent. So what his statement doesn't really say, it's talking about aliens from outer space. He's saying that there could be a species of fish that glow that seem to be really intelligent. Who knows what the story is there? I haven't bothered checking it out, but we can just do a search online for jellyfish, I suppose. Jellyfish that glow. Oh, got it twice. Glow. Deep sea. Let's see what we get. So here we go. Here's some pictures of jellyfish that sort of light up. It looks very similar to his picture, doesn't it? It's got the little that lights going around the edge. Can't quite see it there, but it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights that way. You can't see the tentacles because they'll be going this way. A couple of lights at the top here. Looks very similar to that first one here, What else we got here? So they look like UFOs. So there you go. And then got the ones that light up through the veins here. Basically they eat some sort of undersea plankton that sort of glow as well, and that sort of adds to their own body. And there's another one, UFO under the sea, and it's got the 2 bright dots there, but we haven't got the other 5 underneath that we saw in the other photograph there. Fascinating what's around the planet here. So that even begs the question, are the UFOs from outer space, or could it be some intelligent life form that's simply just formed under the sea here on the Earth and no one knows about them? And they have like some sort of domed city at the furthest, deepest places on the planet, and have ships that can come out of water and fly in the sky. Maybe that's what the Tic Tac UFO is about. Sort of begs your imagination. I should have got a drink. Anyway, some more pictures. Jellyfish. What else we got here? Another one that's got a funny glowing tail on it. They call it jellyfish as well. So, but there's a whole heap of strange deep sea fish. Strange glowing deep sea fish. See if we can get something else. So here we go, we've got this one here. Looks almost transparent, doesn't it? So it's got a little thing at the top of its head there, like an anglerfish, to entice fish closer and eat them. There you go, a little glowing white thing on the front. We even got a glowing squid here, look at that one. So there's quite a few variations there. So I think security team reckons it's rendered, but to me it looks like a correct image here of one of these deep sea creatures.
Contributor to Nat Geo, a diver, someone working with the Ocean X team, flat out admitting that he believes, from everything he's witnessed underwater in his dives, that there are potentially beings, and that he's come in contact with potentially beings from another heavenly body that are more highly advanced than humans. In other words, he's come into contact with things under the water that are not from this planet. And with that statement, you can see here they added this sort of glowing creature or structure moving through the water in the distance. So I don't know if that is a artistic composite of maybe something he's seen.
Come on, Tyler. Stop being lazy and do the research. Okay, just like I did. It only took 5 minutes. So what else we got here? We got some lights on the sea, was it? Well, it looks like city lights on the coast here, doesn't it? It's a bit hard to tell. Is it like a wharf going out to the sea there? Boat on the ocean. Get some inversion, so it looks like it's higher above the water. We talked about that before, where you get atmospheric inversion. That sort of acts like a a prism and angles the light up above the sea where it's not actually there. So if it goes a certain distance high, you know it's inversion. If it goes really high, then you can say it's not inversion.
Look at that. Clear. Comes in and out. I swear to you, if I had my jet ski, I would jump in.
So it could be
So
that one's most likely a boat, like a trawler out to sea. And every time that the sea wave hits the boat, lifts it up higher, that the inversion of the water and atmosphere layer bends the light so they see it with the camera, and then when it goes back down the wave crest, it disappears again.
You guys saw here, and I want to feature just the last little bit of this clip here, where it really shows this light sort of coming up from the water, hanging around for a minute, and then slowly going back down and then disappearing underneath the dark waves below. And when I see this, it immediately reminds me of the set of photographs that I featured many times before, captured from a plane that was passing over the ocean one night and ran into a cluster of hundreds, possibly thousands, of bright glowing objects, making...
I think that was debunked on What on Earth, if I remember right. Some type of fish that were breeding in the water that give off light. I'd have to find the episode. But to me, that looks like it's above the atmosphere here. This looks like space. So anything in the atmosphere where you got some sort of solar wind, and which causes light to be emitted when it hits the atoms of the chemicals in the atmosphere, there's another possibility. But I can't remember, this had something to do with some critters in the sea, again a bit like those jellyfish, and I think it was squid boats, I think, that have really bright lights on the sea there. That was I think it was plankton that glows. Seems to ring a bell anyway. I'd have to research that one a bit more. But yeah, it could be squid boats there fishing, that's attracting the squid, and also the spawn and what do you call it, plankton stuff. Hey, we've got someone on site. How's it going? Yeah, this was the spare of the moment thing that I was putting together. Cut out the bit where he says he doesn't know if it's an artist rendition or the object under the sea. Yeah, I did. Didn't I? I'm pretty sure it was there. I skimmed on. But anyway, yeah, that's when I stopped it and said, come on, Tyler, just do some research, and you'd see that there are jellyfish that glow under the water that look just like that picture. It looked like a real picture of kelp where it was swimming past, but or seaweed, I should say. So that one we can skim past too. And that one, again, could be anything, couldn't it? So, two bright lights. If it's out to sea, I don't know. As again, it could be that illusion where the light's reflecting of a ship that's over the curvature of the sea there, and the light's then reflecting upwards in the atmosphere there. Looks like it's hovering above the sea level.
Takes away from the fun of the channel. All I will
So I
say
think-
is, you know, we all have
Oh,
dark
yeah, there we
times
are,
in our
see.
lives. We all have personal family issues, and I just had to step away and take care of some things. But I'm back now. Your boy's back.
So there's the sea level here, and you can see the light's constant here. So, you know, you get, I've been through this many times. I might just look it up again. Inversion, it's called, I think. Floating boats or ships. And here's some good examples. You can see it's always a certain height above the water, just like in the video here, right? It's a certain height above the water. It doesn't seem to go much higher than that. And it looks like it's floating in the air, right? It's a UFO disguising itself as a sailboat. And you got this one here. It does a double image even, right? Flips it up. And there's one. Looks like it's floating above the water. I'd say it's more. This one's closer to what this one is. That would be like a oil tanker out to sea there. They normally have bright lights up here in the middle. Bingo, solved, you know. And of course with the waves and the atmosphere changing all the time, it's going to reflect the lights around a wee bit as well, so it looks like they're moving. So it's just a matter of knowing science and the strange things that Mother Earth does. I think that's about it, isn't it? So that's one totally debunked as far as I'm concerned. Pointless. And let's see, you got quite a few views on this one. So there's $1,000 there in his pocket there for this video. So yeah, I think a lot of people have called him out, but he's probably deleted the comments. Let's see, it's got to be someone that said that was a water tank, Area 51. Look, someone else said jellyfish. Top of the class, yeah, Mr. Crocodile. It's good when you can come across people that, after you've looked at it yourself, post the same things that you said, and you think, oh yeah, some people are on the same line as me. But all the negative comments have probably been deleted by someone that he hires to go through and clean up the videos. So what about CNN up top? You're like the CNN of UFO channels. So is he saying he's fake news there? I don't really understand how we fight to get the monetization back and we get less than what we did before. So yeah, people are complaining about his content. Because I debunked those already. Third phase, everybody knows is fake. That's why we don't bother them. Everybody knows they do CGI stuff. Secure Team, people think he's a trusted news source. He lists himself as a trusted news source. Bruce sees all. He's another one that's misleading people. He just has out of focus stuff that he's filming. The one I looked at clearly was a military exercise where they were dropping illumination flares, and it looked like it was blowing across the moon, face of the moon. And he had it purposely out of focus, because we looked at people with similar cameras and telescopes and they got crystal clear images of the moon. Tyler's got P1000. Have you seen any images, videos that he's captured with that? You know, he went on holiday. Wouldn't you be sitting on the beach there, seeing what you could film with it, have a play with it, put it up on the channel? Would be good, wouldn't it? You know. So why Tyler? Because he's the one that's faked leaker voices interviews and hasn't admitted to it. and also done photoshops. He's just the biggest noise out there in the UFO community that's causing damage to the whole field, and people are sucking it up. And I just went through this video with you, bit by bit, and I broke it down for you. It doesn't take much, does it, to have some critical thinking of what you're watching. So the other thing is, he's got this guy called David Paulides on interview, right? So he's got some real interviews now, but there's always people that are out to sell you something. They're always out to sell a book, out to sell a movie, and they're after that 2.1 million subscriber count up here, right? But they don't realize that only about 100,000 watch this channel every day, not 2.1 million. 2 million of those are just dormant zombie subscribers, but like I have 1,500 here. I probably only get a few people watching. Probably most of them be offline because they're working or whatever, but yeah, most I get is about 100 views, right, out of that 1,500. So 2.1 million and only 100,000 watch. That's to me like something going on with his channel. People are wising up, and they started watching my debunks, obviously, or other people's debunks, because I'm not the only one that has exposed them. So yeah, so David Paulides is pushing this 411 mysteries, and I thought, well, it'd be good to let him know that Secure Team's probably not the best person to promote a serious research thing on, because he's got a reputation of being a fraudery. So I did some searching on David, and what you always do with anyone is try a search on their book or their full name. Actually, his name's probably better. Dave. So I wanted to see how credible this guy was, you know, because I did warn the guy, and then he still goes and does an interview with Tyler. So that tells me he doesn't care about anything apart from making sales for his movie and books to make money. Everybody wants those millions of dollars, right? So I just typed the person's name fraud and see what people out there saying about someone. And straight away we got this big thing here. Warning. Cherry-picked. And you know what cherry-picked is? Cherry-picked reports. So that means it's he's just picked out the ones that sounded the most strangest and just stuck into a book, right? So let's go through some of these. So this is on Amazon. So this is a book review. It's someone that's purchased. Yeah, I already covered David Icke as well. Go and have a look a few lives back. What you can do is click on the search thing and and just search on people's names and it will come up. So if you go here on the About tab, just type in David Icke and you'll see if I've talked about him. Alright, straight away it's got David Icke, truth. So there's two ones I did, because I had problems with the live stream that day. Kept going slow on the computer, like I was being targeted on purpose to try and silence me. So yeah, copyright won. I actually won another copyright today. Someone tried to silence me on Alien Abductions video that I did, and I won it. I've won like 12 hours. I put out the thing, and 12 hours later it was freed. So yeah, this guy tried to ban it in all countries as well. So yeah, got Google onto it and straight away it got released. So yeah, that's how you can find out about David, but we're talking about Paulides here. So see if I can zoom it up a bit so we can read it. Might have to get the reader to read out this one. But it's quite serious allegations this person's put in here about him. So I always got a bit suspicious too, you know, of some of the things he was saying on Coast to Coast and all that over the years. Yeah, I just wondered how much of it was being misrepresented, because we never heard the other people's sides. So yeah. Convicted confidence trickster who lies about his credentials. That's pretty damning thing there, isn't it? So let's just see if I can get it, read it out. Actually, I might need to go to the toilet. I don't think this episode was going to take that long. Is it going to work? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I guess.
Okay, now it's going to work for us.
I guess it's my fault for not conducting due diligence on David Paulides before I purchased. Like many, I have been listening to interviews with Paulides for about a year, and on the surface what he is saying sounds convincing and plausible. Then I bought this book, and pretty soon alarm bells started ringing all over the place. Most notably, I cannot accept that any self-respecting law enforcement officer would draw the conclusions Paulides has. Also, the chilling descriptions of cases that Paulides talks about on radio interviews are not found in this book, but rather this is a list of very short statements about missing person cases that upon closer inspection Paulides has heavily edited and often quite frankly lied about. In fact, most of the content has been taken from the reports found in Off the Wall and Over the Edge, who had no trouble getting these reports from the National Park Service, which have been edited by Paulides to give the impression that something mysterious is going on. Even more ludicrous is the conclusions he somehow wrings out of these cases.
Okay, that's just part of it. It goes on a wee bit here. So yeah, that's pretty bad. We'll just recap it in a minute.
For example, Person A goes missing in 1938. Person B goes missing in 1998. For no other reason than this happened within the same 3 months period, there has to be a connection we are not being told about. Another example, Person A goes missing in a storm in 1962. Person B goes missing in 2002. Again, for no other reason than there was bad weather on both occasions, there must be a connection to both of them. It really is that silly. Paulides conveniently forgets to mention known causes of missing persons such as terminal burrowing or hypothermia psychosis, paradoxical undressing, and the most common of all, life insurance claim scams. When the official reports he reproduces in this book don't fit in with his criteria, he either edits out key parts of the report or fabricates things. Even his credentials are complete fiction. He was never a detective for over 20 years, as he likes to claim. He was a traffic police officer for 16 years who resigned in disgrace after his arrest for fraud and theft. To claim that you were a detective for over 20 years when in fact you were a traffic cop of less than 16 years before being convicted of using your position to sell fake celebrity autographs is absurd and highly deceptive. This is most likely why his requests for information, if he even made those requests, were denied because of his background and what he wanted to do with the information. Another fact that Paulides neglects to mention is that he is the architect of another scam with the equally despicable Mel Burkett, charging people in excess of $50 American to look at a fake scientific journal claiming to show evidence of Bigfoot DNA, Dinovo magazine. Only after paying this money to him and Ketchum do people discover that there is in fact no scientific journal and no DNA test proving the existence of Bigfoot. I think the reason I fell for this scam was because I never thought anyone would be so distasteful as to use something such as missing children to make money. I was wrong. David Paulides seems to be in a big squabble with other Bigfoot researchers as to who can sell the most books, and as a believer in them, I won't go into why here. I can honestly say that these beings will be rolling around laughing at his stupidity. For references and case examples, there is a fascinating, rather heated discussion between Paulides and some real researchers calling him out on his lies that can be found at
Okay, so he's posted another Amazon link here. And more. So 35 people found it helpful. How do we get that link? So that's pretty damning, right? So I'll just go through it again in case the reader wasn't too clear. So he's saying you can't accept that an enforcement officer would draw conclusions that he has. Has heavily edited and often, quite frankly, lied about, and most of the content has been taken from reports found in Off the Wall and Over the Edge, who had no trouble getting these reports from National Park Services, which have been edited by Paulides to give the impression that something mysterious is going on. So that's pretty bad. What's the other one here? His credentials are complete fiction. He was never a detective for 20 years, and he likes to claim he was a traffic officer. He likes to claim he was a traffic officer for 16 years who resigned in disgrace after his arrest for fraud and theft. So he's a corrupt police officer, is what he's saying there. Now you hear about it on TV where people fabricate evidence and stuff, right? To claim that you were a detective for 20 years when in fact you were a traffic cop of less than 16 before being convicted of using your own position to self-fake celebrity autographs is absurd and highly deceptive. Wow, pretty damning, isn't it? So no wonder he went on Security's channel. Hoaxes band together, is the saying. They all sort of self-promote each other, try and get the most clicks, views, and make money off all you people out there that's not bothered doing the checks and reading of all the views. This is just one of many, by the way. This is the first one that's come up in search engine for Google, so they obviously think it's the most read one. He always talks about how he's a cop, but he's a traffic warden. Yeah, he's one of those nasty ones too that you wish would get run over. Nothing worse than a traffic cop and a parking ticket person. Anyway, you know, but a police detective that's trying to solve serious crimes, then you got some respect for him. Yeah, won't go into that, but yeah, I've known a few cops over the years, and yes, there was one I worked with in Queensland who did more pirating than the pirators out there, just put it this way. And he left with after he was disgusted with the cops himself, and decided to become a computer person. So yeah, we won't talk too much about cops. But the point is that this guy looks like he has a dodgy past and is clearly doing things to make money, obviously. And so let's just go through the other ones. Where's the search for it? Oh, actually I should probably cut that one there, see if it will paste. And I'll go back on that one. Okay, is it a different one? Let's have a look. Yeah, cherry pick, that was in the list as well. That's number 2, see? Okay, so what's this one saying? Looks like we need to scale it up again. So, yep, research people. Cherry picked reports cobbled together by Paulides. I've always thought he had an A in his name. Oh well. Something else you learn, how to spell people's names. 92, the 408 unexplained disappearance. He details from both Western and Eastern editions. Okay, let's read that out with the reader again. Again, look at this one. This one's got a lot to say. Okay, we'll just read out some of it. Obviously, he's annoyed a few people in the Bigfoot community as well, by the looks of it.
92. The 408 unexplained disappearances he details in both Western and Eastern editions were found alive and well. What is so unexplainable about so many people being found alive? These are nothing more than an interesting collection of missing persons, and David Paulides is clearly trying to attribute the disappearances to Bigfoot. He's a big-time Bigfoot researcher, and he's constantly and subtly implicating Bigfoot in the cases. His claim of offering no theories is a smokescreen. In real research, scientists need to disclose their conflicts of interest to their overseeing agencies, because those things make a difference to conclusions. Study design and methodology is important when you want your analysis of anything to be taken seriously at all. Data does not exist in a vacuum, but needs to be contextualized by how it was gathered and who analyzed it. That's another reason why, in real research, researchers look for intercoder reliability to judge that the researchers have minimized bias errors through consensus. Data is not judged purely on its merits, it's judged on the merits of the atmosphere in which it was collected and processed. The fact that Dave Paulides is obsessed with all things Bigfoot is hugely relevant to how he has interpreted his data. Dave would also have his audience believe that the United States Park Service is engaging in a vast cover-up of biblical proportions regarding records and tracking data of missing people. The Park Service does keep records, it's just that they won't release them to him. Michael P. Giglieri and Charles R. Farabi co-wrote Off the Wall, Death in Yosemite, outlining some 1,300 cases of deaths, disappearances and other mishaps during that park's existence. These accounts were gathered by utilizing coroner reports, superintendent reports, and freedom of information requests. To articulate that the Park Service doesn't keep records is disingenuous and an outright lie. A more accurate description would be that the Park Service won't give them to him. Perhaps it's because of his shady past and his known associations with all things Bigfoot.
So there you go. That changes the whole story completely there, doesn't it? It wasn't because they didn't want to give him the stuff. It's because they didn't trust him. And they obviously documented stuff, obviously. Else he wouldn't be able to do a book on it, would he? He wouldn't be able to get the people's addresses and go to them and ask them if he can print their story. So what are these guys up to down here? How's it going, Renee? Happy 4th. Alright, it's 4th of July. Is it holidays in America at the moment? Alright. I totally forgot about that. You unsubscribed from security. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter if I sub to him or not, he's blocked me. Yeah, he's scared of a small channel. It's kind of funny, really. My thought was water tank. Hey, how's it going? Brief history. Oh, you thought it was a water tank, but you probably got a better memory than I have of what the base looked like in your head, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I corrected it. It took me an hour, but it was like 3 or 4 in the morning when I was looking at it, so... and I wasn't really well. So, yeah, I was a bit slow in picking that one up. But if you have a look at the video itself, though, you can't see the buildings. So I saw a cloud layer when I looked at it originally, and I thought, yes, it does look like it's above the cloud there. So that's why I thought naturally it was going to be some sort of weather balloon that they were using there, which they obviously do use to collect data before they do some testing of their secret planes, I guess. Yeah, has been probably scamming folks. Are you talking about security team or David here? Any event so shows possible. So yeah, I'm just showing you how you can do your own research on people, and this is one way. Just type in the name and put fraud after and see what people are saying about them. Yeah, if you got stats wise, if you got enough people saying the same thing, then there's got to be an element of truth in it, right? So so he's talking about cherry picked reports here. So let's just read a bit more of this, because this guy's sounding quite interesting. So there's a lot here, which I didn't realise how much is in in this field, but he's talking about all sorts of things. Rural settings, dogs, there's all sorts of things you've got to take into account for each missing case, I guess. A bit like UFO field, you've got to take in a lot of different things into account, which way the wind is blowing, how high up it was, and all that sort of stuff before you say, oh yeah, it's got to be a UFO. So probably run out, because I can only read 5,000 characters per day with this thing, so that saves me having to blunder through it with my
Cherry-picked
voice.
reports cobbled together by Paulides, who is woefully ill-informed and ignorant of modern search and rescue techniques, along with the effects of hypothermia that spews purposely deceitful garbage. Missing 411 Eastern and Western editions are the new books out by David Paul Paulides. These recent works follow on the heels of Tribal Bigfoot and the Hooper Project. These books are specifically about Bigfoot. According to Paulides, he embarked on a 3-year and 7,000-man-hour quest to uncover missing people in the national parks. He filled numerous Freedom of Information Act requests, and documents to support the stories in these books were found through exhaustive searches of various periodicals' archives. The author became interested in the subject of missing persons when there was a point in my law enforcement career when I worked as a detective attached to a special team investigating high-profile cases. One of the cases we participated in was a series of missing girls from California. Paulides has a prestigious 20-year background in law enforcement as a detective and investigator that enables him to gather facts and interview witnesses to get to the facts of the case. On his NABS blog number 91 he states in part, he chose to retire after 20 years, and no one in his group lies. The reality and truth of the matter is far stranger than anyone could imagine. David Paul Paulides was an officer with the San Jose Police Department until 1996. He was charged and indicted for a misdemeanor crime that involved falsely obtaining autographs while fraudulently misrepresenting his position within the police department. His tenure fell short of the requisite 20 years required to retire, and he was forced to leave with only 16.5 years. His last duty assignment was in the court liaison office. Most likely he left voluntarily in lieu of being prosecuted and given an option to quit. On an ancillary note, with this background, I am curious as to what senior executive position he has or had held in the technology sector. From what I can discern, the North American Bigfoot search is Mr. Paulides. Furthermore, Paulides has never been on a search and rescue team or participated in any organization. This book is a discredit and a slap in the face to those men and women that are. Source S. San Jose Mercury News 2011 SJ Police and Fire Retirement Boards vote to award David Paul Paulides a deferred vesting for 16.5 years as a police officer. Paulides' Missing 411 is a continuation of his earlier 2 works. They are repackaged with a new twist in his search for this elusive creature. He doesn't come out and state it emphatically, but these editions are nothing more than his belief that Bigfoot is taking people in the woods across the county. Anyone with a general comprehension of the English language can establish this nexus. If you think otherwise, I suggest a remedial class in reading comprehension. He also builds you up with his prestigious law enforcement career and his overinflated and exaggerated investigative skills in order for you to buy into his mythic self-portrayals that are stratospheric in nature. Paulides is so blatantly agenda-driven, is a proven liar, a fraud, and is only out to promote his website and sell books. To that end, the facts, as he presents them, are seriously questionable and under the surface are not really facts at all, just his cherry-picking articles in an attempt to shoehorn his ideas to fit his theory. The clusters that Paulides describes are vague and general, and he attributes them as unique factors. These factors are...
Wow. That's pretty damning, isn't it? And this is why this guy didn't listen to me about going on to security to do interview. Because I said it would be a reputation killer. I didn't realise this guy's reputation is trashed anyway. So yeah, he needs to sell as many books as he likes because he hasn't got his, retirement fund for 20 years, right? He didn't quite get there. So yeah, selling Hollywood, is it? Selling autographs. Yes, I was on such and such movie set. Okay, let's scroll down. So kidnapping, berries, clothing removed, missing found. So yeah, he doesn't tell you also that people have various conditions where they actually remove their clothes in the forest. And they walk around naked and get lost and then die of hypothermia or whatever, you know. And so look, this goes on and on and on here. That's, whew, this guy should write a book. David Debunked. Yes. So he's talking about various cases here, right? Which is quite interesting. So on today's interview, I didn't listen to it. Did we hear about any of this background on David at all? Did the security nail him down and say, were you really a detective? Can you prove that you're a detective? Have you got any certificates? So it's like another Bob Lazar story, isn't it? Right? He's probably been on Coast to Coast. Has anyone actually questioned him on these things that are being said about him online? Because they did with security. That what's his name, Jimmy Tshirt, didn't question him. Say, what's this on the web I read here that you faked leaker interviews? And this one here of the cube, did you Photoshop it? And who's the person that you interviewed? Is that your wife speaking? You know, all this sort of stuff. The witness was his wife, of course, you know. So let's see. What's this one here? Investigation. Google search subject. So what's that saying there?
Michelle Van Eck disappeared in Colorado, and according to Paulides, something catastrophic happened to Michelle Van Eck that no one could have probably survived. This is another case that differs from his various periodicals archives claim. Paulides in no uncertain terms informed me in earlier review that you can't believe everything you read on the internet. This comment was made pursuant to the information in the Martin case. I agree, but I am curious, did that apply to him as well? I am interested to know just what kind of catastrophe happened to her.
Yes, missing cases are interesting. But, you know, if there's a serial killer that's out there killing people, you want to know about it. And who's to know that it's not, some of them are Bigfoot related, you know. Some of them do sound like they could be related to a Bigfoot grabbing a child at the end of the line and taking off, right? So, you know, I could see how Bigfoot people might get a bit upset thinking that he's painting a bad picture of Bigfoots, that they're abducting people and maybe eating them, snap the neck like they do with reindeer, just starving hungry and grab a human, break the head off. You always go for the weakest, right? Always one at the end of the line, or at the front of the line if you get too far ahead, and probably just eat the people, right? But there were stories of Bigfoot. I've heard stories of Bigfoot that used to abduct Indian ladies and actually breed them. So maybe that's how they kept the population going. Who knows? So there's a lot of interesting stories out there. But when you got someone that's got a fraudulent background, that's meant to be truthful, and you think that, oh, he's a detective, he's got to be trustworthy, and you find out he wasn't even a detective, then it just casted out on the whole thing. So look at this one. This one goes on a bit. Water pack. That's a big story there. Let's just read out that last one. I do like hearing the stories, but I like to hear what the actual story was opposed to the one that's been edited.
Further down in the story, the article mentions a mysterious hiker who initially hid behind a tree and ran away from searchers. He outright refused to answer questions. He was later identified and released and was not presumed to be involved in Van Eck's disappearance. The article goes on to state that a squatter was also in the vicinity, but wasn't willing to even get out of their tent when questioned by searchers. There was no indication that the squatter and the hiker were one and the same. Eric Sawyer was also questioned, and when specifically asked about any involvement on his part, he refused to answer any more questions without an attorney present. These facts don't necessarily contribute or point in any direction. However, omitting them does change the dynamic of the narrative.
Yep.
If Paulides has put feet on the ground in all these cases, why in this narrative does he state that he has seen many photos of the mountain? This indicates to me that he never ventured past his computer screen on this one. I would also like to know just what kind of catastrophic event happened to Michelle Vanek. Does the author know something the rest of us don't? Was he privy to information not reported in the media? This statement is nothing more than sensationalism in order for him to shoehorn a disappearance to fit his theory. This case is also an example of a case that was cherry-picked, lacked serious fact-checking, contained misrepresentations of data, contradictions, and makes assumptions and draws outlandish conclusions.
Really bad. So there you go, guys. Disappointing. And it just goes on and on and on. So yeah, I've posted the link down the side there if you want to read the rest of them. Or reread it. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has pointed this out on the web before, but now it is. It's done through my life. And so we just close that one down. And what other searches we got here? He's got a wiki here that even says he's a former police detective. So whoever wrote the wiki needs to go and do some fact checking by the sounds of it and actually prove that he was a detective. I bet it doesn't say much that he was a traffic officer that got kicked off for misconduct. So what's it say? Just read it out there. That'll do. I'll try the other reader, see if that works. Come on. Sometimes it takes twice. Come on, read it out. Typical, that one's not going to work for us today. Okay, read the other one again.
David Paulides is a former police detective who is now an investigator and writer known primarily for his self-published books, one dedicated to proving the reality of Bigfoot, and his Missing 411 series of books, in which he documents the disappearance of people in national parks and elsewhere. Paulides attributes mysterious, unspecified causes to these disappearances, while data analysis suggests that these disappearances are not statistically mysterious or unexpected.
Okay, some truth there. Investigations, Bigfoot and Sasquatch. So yeah, it looks like it's a bit vague, the wiki page on him. Not a detective. A self-proclaimed detective. So what are you guys saying down the side there? Sounds like he has heard a theory and run with it. Yep. Good for selling books, mysteries, right? A fraud or a hustler, they do these things. A theory that knows well sells. Yep, con man. I'm afraid so. So go and spread the word out there then, guys. You can even share my live stream after if you want to. It'll take a wee while for probably Google to process it properly. So there's a wiki page here. I mean, not a wiki, a Reddit page, which also is pretty damning as well. So let's see. I'll just post it there and probably wrap up on that one. I think they'll pretty much say the same thing. So let's scroll through it. As you can see, people have got lots to say about this guy. Man, speaking as someone who does SAR, search and rescue, that ranger must have been pretty new at his job, or Paulides, how do you say his name, Paulides, made him up. It's true that we usually call searches after 7 to 10 days, but as a matter of resources, after that amount of time, the victim probably isn't going to be rescued alive. ETA, and I should note that I have been on searches that extended for as long as 2 to 3 weeks. If the victim was well prepared and might have still been alive. It's a case-by-case basis. Searches are really expensive, plus the majority of SAR personnel are volunteers, which is interesting, who have to get back to their day jobs, so yeah, they don't get paid, right? Searches in national parks tend to have a higher ratio of paid to unpaid personnel, but rangers have a lot of other duties too, and again, it's just expensive to set up the infrastructure and run a search at all. Plus, it's not uncommon for multiple rescues to crop up in the same time frame, especially in popular areas or during peak times, so that further stretches resources. We just can't keep up cadaver searches for much longer than that. And actually known cadaver searches, how do you say that word? Cadaver, what's that mean actually? Let's have a look. How's the computer say it?
Cadaver.
Cadaver, alright. Is that what it is? Cadaver. It's one of those silent A's. And it's got it's cadaver searches. Like suicides or drowning deaths tend to be more than 2 to 4 days range before they're called. Also, I keep Google alerts for all the searches I've been on, and it's definitely not true that media coverage just disappears. I see a lot of follow-up articles for all of the high-profile searches I've been on, which are the only ones I see Paulides talk about either. It's not even true that the initial search is all that there is. I'm a K9 SAR cadaver dog handler and had the NPS in particular invite my team back for smaller scale up follow-up searches if we didn't locate the victim in the initial search. So it's good hearing from some other point of views here, isn't it? They're often weeks or months later when budgets and personnel have recovered a bit. They also do keep detailed records. So that's different to what he was saying. Just on the park to park basis. So they've got no common database. Maybe that's something that the government needs to organise, and pay for, probably. No one is opposed to a national database. There just isn't the money to create one. Go and ask Trump. He might give it to you. And it wouldn't really be that helpful because the things that get people into trouble in say the Grand Canyon aren't the same things that get them in trouble in Yellowstone. Also, the vast majority of SAR incidents are handled by local sheriff departments with no involvement from the NPS. What's that? National Park Service. On other federal agencies, this does include searches on federal, and USFS and BLM don't really have much involvement in most searches on their land, for example. So they also have to have a system in place for collecting data from all those countless local agencies. Yeah, it sounds a right mess. I could keep going on about many flaws in Paulides' claims, but I'll leave it there for now, since that's what your post is most focused on. Also, just for the record, I'm a volunteer handler with no investment in covering any of this up. I just think that Paulides is unethical, profiting off the real tragedies, as well as giving his readers a very skewed idea of the risks and realities of spending time in the wilderness. If people do think there's a cover-up and want to see it firsthand, though, most SAR teams are happy to have more volunteers. It's the easiest conspiracy ever to join in on. So he's saying if you want to debunk it, go and join their search things. pretty good idea. Then you can see how it works and see if anyone's covering up anything. If people do not think there's a cover-up and want to see... Oh yeah, we just read that, didn't we? Yep, I came here specially to enjoy yet another Paulides takedown by Hector someone. FTR, I actually bought those books. They look like books, so they are books, eh? Hilarious. If he tries to link them, but reading about missing persons is interesting. Now that they are on Amazon, try a library if you want to laugh a bit. He only plays like he's been objective. That's totally part of you can trash me act. Okay? He's just another Ralph Sashi with his I was a cop routine. National parks are actually legit wilderness and park rangers are not in charge of them or anything. Nobody is. Hey, they don't even have fundraising now. So I'm kind of thinking people go missing because they are on their phones in flip-flops drinking beer, and is not a campground or forest preserve out there. So they're not prepared. Or children wander off, right, and then they get lost, get taken out by a bear. Doesn't take much, just swipe in the head by a bear from behind and dragged off, and away you go. Yes, you don't have that problem in New Zealand though. New Zealand's probably the safest place to come tramping and camping. But there has been some serial killers, so you got to always keep that in mind. but you're not allowed guns here. You're only allowed probably knives for camping, so you got no defense really. If you do get attacked by some crazy dude that wants to kill and rape your partner, which has happened in New Zealand, frankly, you always got to be careful no matter where you go in this world. It's so easy to slip and fall down and get stuck in a valley even. The forests are pretty dense over here, even in New Zealand. And people go big pig hunting and never find them again because something happens to them. A pig will literally will charge at you and rip you to bits, a wild pig, and they'll eat you. Pigs will eat you. And they'll chew on your bones, and there'll be nothing left. And they even swallow the plastic, your clothing and all that. Or it just simply rots and whatever, washes downstream or whatever. So you can see how people can go missing. I completely agree. I started hearing about the national parks conspiracy stuff, and it just struck me as so sensationalist. Yes, people die in national parks. They also die in abandoned houses, railroad tracks, bars, clubs, cars, rivers. Yep. Yeah, so that guy goes on a bit here too. Retract deaths and accidents, but we aren't necessarily monitoring a specific place for deaths in the way it was suggested we should with the national parks. And frankly, why would there be some conspiracy around that? I haven't heard anything credible about what benefit hiding deaths would have for the national park. Well, obviously to cover up BIGFOOTs or alien abductions or whatever. But I'd say maybe some of them are, you can't rule it out completely, but yeah, he's just cherry-picked a lot of the cases there, so that's what they're saying. So it just goes on a bit there. Terribly inaccurate, but I do agree with others that he's full of it. Yep, it's all about making money. Sell a good story. What's that say here about hello fellow dog handler, thanks for using your canine powered for good. Alright, I read the first one, it was entertaining. I will give him that. I was involved with one of the cases, profiled in it, and I honestly thought I was reading a fictionalized account though. his account did not resemble what I saw or experienced. So there you go, another one that sticks a nail in the coffin. Person involved with the case. I've also seen excerpts and heard interviews about a few other cases I've been on, and none of those were particularly accurate either. He bases his information primarily on newspaper reporting and second-hand information. Well, you know how accurate newspapers are and mainstream media is at the moment. And neither tend to be particularly accurate just because they don't understand the nuisance. Plus, you really have to be out in the terrain and see all the data to understand. He was also forced to resign from San Jose PDA as he was facing indictment on fraud charges. Okay, so he's not the only one that's done fraud. There's another guy out there in the UFO field called UFO Proof. He's still got outstanding warrants for arrest, by the way, for selling second-hand stolen goods. So you can go and search that online too, and no doubt you can search online to verify this information too. Some of them you have to pay to do the searches on though. They're not always free. So yeah, it's always pays to do background checks on people. So yeah, that was just 3 things we read out here, and there's a bit more here talking about stories that he's talked about which are inaccurate. So Kitchen Project. So yeah, that's pretty all much I was going to talk about, guys. I got some other stuff queued up for Sunday and anyone that wants to come on and talk. So who's out there on the side? I don't think there was any other stuff I had, but I'll leave it till Sunday, I guess. Keep it short and sweet. 2 hours. Well, hour and 37 minutes, it reckons. Oh, there's the... What's that one there? Oh, kelp, yeah. I think that's it. Apart from my copyright I got, I could probably talk about that, I guess. I'll just check the side comments first. Come camping in Britain, we have virtually no countryside left. Yeah, you got to build the houses to keep those immigrants in. Oop, that's a bad word, not allowed to say that. Never more than a mile from McDonald's. Yeah. Yes, yeah, I heard that. Britain's expanding too fast. Same with a lot of countries. And New Zealand, hard to believe that probably 40% of the North Island is actually immigrants now. So that's from India and China mostly. Plus we got a lot of South Africans here who are fleeing South Africa for changes that's happening there, which is not really good changes. So I won't mention all that's been going on, because you probably find that from people like what's his name, John B. Wells, and a few others that cover those other aspects that you don't hear on normal news, because the news sort of covers up things. And so does Google. It wants to censor you if you try and mention the stuff. So maybe this one will get censored yet. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But someone tried to take me down. So here's what happened. I did an episode called Alien Abductions, Issues of Proof. So I went through some of the alien abduction cases, played the clips of them being interviewed, and I got hit with this crazy takedown request. I had a 3-minute clip used for fair use to criticize it, and he blocked it in 248 countries. Isn't that all the countries in the world? And he also monetized it. So why block it and monetize it? That sort of doesn't make sense. And so I got the original email, which was different. Let's see, that one there. Alright, I'll come back to that one. Where's the original email? The original email said it was blocked in the United States only, right? Didn't say blocked in countries. Blah. 248 of them. And look, copyright content. My mum talks to aliens, free documentary, it says here. So how can it be copyrighted if it's free? I used a clip from a free documentary. So I took to Twitter about it, and I also put in a dispute request, and I got this come through tonight. Another win for fair use. This is probably number 6 now, probably, where I've won it. And so people still haven't learnt not to mess with us Kiwis, because truth can't be silenced. So yeah, I'll probably try and get one taken down with David next, probably. These people don't like the truth being told about them out there, so just be aware of that. And I found this here. It talks about, is it illegal to falsely claim copyrights? So the Copyright Act provides for no civil penalty for falsely claiming ownership of public domain material. So this is a problem with copyright. It's just riddled with problems. Media corporations don't honour fair use, and you got people now trying to exploit the system and extort money from people. And there's a bit of that going on now. Someone puts a false claim onto your YouTube channel saying they're going to try and take it down if you don't pay me $200 to PayPal. So that's going on at the moment out there. So that's the other thing that's happened recently as well. So yeah, and that's pretty much it, really. You know, and you hear about Bob Lazar not having qualifications. Well, when you get a qualifications, you course you get certificates like this. And that's just a snapshot of one hanging on the wall here that proves that I've got a Bachelor of Science, right, in computer technology, which took 4 years to get. So why can't Bob Lazar produce stuff like that? Beats me. And also Paulides, by the looks of it. And I've got another one here, business computing, which is also a degree as well, from another, well, from not a university, what they call polytechnics. It was like one linked to get jobs in the workforce, because a computer degree is all theoretical and complex stuff, and people want you to know business oriented computing, which is what that course does there, to be able to get you a job. And of course I did that, and it didn't help either. But while I was studying at the Polytechnic there, they offered me a job there managing their computer system, and I did a lot of complex stuff in AutoCAD, trying to run software for the students, which wasn't network aware. It wasn't designed to run on low spec machines, and at the time it was like DX66s, and so I had to do a lot of tricky stuff to try and get it all working for everybody and able to store their files, which were really, really big for doing AutoCAD stuff. Plus I also looked after electro-technology equipment and complicated software they use to program factories. They use software called PLC, so I had to know all this sort of stuff and maintain it for people, and I did that for 5 years there. So I have been out there, and I do know my stuff, and I do self-learn a lot as well. So there you go, you can trust my credentials, unlike these other people that are fakes out there. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. I'll catch you on Sunday hopefully, but it might not be at a time like it is now. It'll be my afternoon, so yous on opposite sides of the world will be asleep probably, unless you're a night owl, because it'll be like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, or 3 in the morning over there. Sounds like that. So I think we'll wrap it up there, guys, and be good to get you on voice. So do join my Discord channel, and we could arrange you to come on talk with me instead of me talking to myself or talking at the screen, I should say. But I'm just going to wind down now because it's now, as you can see, 2 in the morning. But I've been sleeping all day and all night, and I'm not tired now, you see, because I took some painkillers, so that sort of wiped me out. And it was a cold day, and I was just nice and snug in bed, and I didn't want to get up. So, and it's now raining again, of course. So I'll just switch to my good night screen. Do leave comments on Discord. You can type in text comments as well if you join there. And it'll be good to hear from everybody. Is that playing? Thanks for liking and sharing. It will help me out. And obviously spread the truth. Good night, everybody.